With Series 9 just around the corner, I wanted to take a minute to talk about a couple of the team archetypes that we're going to be seeing come May. So let's go ahead and jump right into those. Here we go. First off on the list, we're going to have Galarian-Moltres. Galarian-Moltres has been an insanely popular Pokemon as soon as it came out, and we've actually seen play in the restricted format with Galarian-Moltres as well. But in Series 9, you can expect it to take more of a center stage and a spotlight and be the centerpiece of teams. Galarian-Moltres, with its Dark typing and Flying typing, has fantastic max moves that allow it to really just snowball games. Max Darkness allows additional partners that are special attackers to just hit a little bit harder, and then the speed boosts from the Max Airstream are always beneficial to it. It is supported with Lightning Rod, since it is weak to that electric typing from mostly Regielekis that are running around rampant. And it is also supported pretty well by a Comfey. Comfey allows it to, just self-proc the weakness policy, as well as keep it healthy throughout the match by floral healing, triage, priority heals. So you can also just be a little careful with it, because you can probably activate the Berserk ability, and if Comfey gets it back to over 50%, there's a chance that it'll get another special attack boost, and that could be very, very crucial. So be a little careful with that, and Galarian-Moltres teams do often have a lot of Intimidate support from Incineroars and a Steel typing to help it deal with Rock types that give it a hard time. Alright, moving on to the next one. Alright, so next up we got Dusclops Glastrier teams, and these teams are a team type that has just a lot of snowball potential, no pun intended. These teams just match really well into hyper-offensive teams, or Regigigas itself in particular, because of the high defense and the natural bulk that you have with a Glastrier. Glastrier having high physical defense matches well into these types of Pokemon, and by carrying a weakness policy, it really makes you wonder if you want to attack it at all until its max is done, right? Because if once it Dynamaxes, its HP is going to double. Coupled with that really high defense, it makes it insanely hard to get rid of. Also, the Dusclops can support it really well with Trick Room, as well as Will-O-Wisping stuff that can potentially harm it, right? So any physical attackers might get burned with the Will-O-Wisp, and just make harder to knock out and remove from the field. You can also self-proc weakness policy with the side Brick Break, which Brick Break also a fantastic move into a lot of the teams that are going to be coming up with a lot of screens like Grimmsnarl, as well as removing the GMAX Resonance from Lapras, which is also another popular team that we can expect to see a lot of in the coming months. All right, but yeah, that's weakness policy on Glastrier, nothing to scoff at. Its ability, it just lets it, get those attack boosts, and it's very easy to get a Glastrier to +6, especially with Max Knuckle. If you get a knockout with Max Knuckle, that's +2, plus the 2 that you got from the weakness policy, and just snowballs out of control really, really hard. But yeah, that's going to be the Dusclops Glastrier teams that we can expect to see. All right, moving on to the next one. Next up on the list, and to nobody's surprise, we have Regigigas, the old faithful wheezing Regigigas. These team archetypes just continue to do well at Players' Cup, getting second at Players' Cup 2, and recently doing really well at Players' Cup 3, getting into the top 4, I believe. So these teams, they just have an insane damage output potential, right? A max strike from Regigigas just does so much damage, especially if you're holding a life orb. And Wheezing has the potential to shut down a lot of key abilities with its neutralizing gas. Abilities such as Prankster, shutting down terrains like Psychic Terrain, Grassy Terrain, for Pokemon like Rillaboom, right? Or even shutting down weather for teams like Venusaur Torkoal, which means that you outspeed the Venusaur and one-shot it before it even gets to Sleep Powder, right? It's just a very scary team archetype, and it's extremely versatile. Regigigas' move pool consists of Fire, Ice, Electric, Ground, Ghost, Dark, and Normal. Also some fighting moves, right? So it can be prepared for every single type of teams, and if you craft a very good Regigigas team, you can expect to do very well with it, especially if you're covering for weaknesses. So I definitely expect to see a lot of Regigigas Wheezing popping up again in the coming months here. All right, moving on to the next team archetype that we can expect to see. That's going to be Lapras, GMAX Lapras teams in general. These are pretty much a staple, right? Seeing the Lapdog archetype in Series 8. Now moving away from the dog part of the team archetype, no longer, having access to that Zacian. But now we're actually going to see GMAX Lapras shift to a more unpredictable type of team, right? That's part of the strength of GMAX Lapras teams, their unpredictability. You don't know if they have a Light Clay, or if they have a Life Orb, or if they're going to self-proc Weakness Policy, right? So a lot of the times it has you guessing as to what can happen. You can also expect to see it paired up with Whimsicott with Tailwind and Fake Tears. You can also see maybe Comfey with Giga Drain to self-proc the Weakness Policy, so keep an eye out for those Pokemon. Those are pretty much dead giveaways as to what you can expect. And it also covers for Steel types really well. By setting up the Rain, these Steel-type Pokemon can often become a win condition. So, for example, Ferrothorn, Celesteela, Kartana, once these Pokemon, once you remove the threats for these types of Pokemon, right? So if you remove any fire types that can really just stop these Pokemon, you can pretty much set up a win condition for yourself. So also you can expect maybe to see the Perish Song, right? If they get enough KOs quick enough and set up the Perish Song and they have a Pokemon in the back, guess what? You just automatically lose, right? So definitely keep an eye out for GMAX Lapras. It's not going anywhere. It's not going away anytime soon. All right, moving on to the next one. Next up, we got Metagross teams, and Metagross teams are very scary, and this is because Metagross is immune to stat drops, mainly from Intimidate, due to its ability Clear Body. Can also self-proc Weakness Policy with a Bulldoze user, and lowering the speed on the opponent's side, except on your side, which, with the Clear Body, you're going to ignore that speed drop on Metagross, making it faster than a lot of threats, such as Urshifu, mainly one of those, and it can actually bait out Urshifus really nicely, and you can pick up a quick knockout here with a Max Steel Spike with its high attack. It's also really well supported by Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini's Mystic Terrain just, prevents burns on Metagross and just really enables it to sweep through opposing Pokemon, and it also, matches well against fire types that Metagross seems to have a hard time against. So, Tapu Fini, fantastic support Pokemon here. Don't forget that, you can self-proc that Weakness Policy with Bulldoze from Pokemon such as Spectrier, Entei, Raikou, or even Suicune, and even support it with Tailwind. It also does really well into Glastrier, Regigigas teams. Again, mentioning that Bulldoze breaking Focus Sashes on Pokemon like maybe Weezing, for example, right? Allowing you to shut down the neutralizing gas and just crippling that Regigigas, right? So, not to mention the Steel typing does fantastically into Regigigas. Yes, it does have a ground move that it can use into, but it's not going to be Stab, right? And it won't drop the speed with the Max Strike if you are able to get rid of that Weezing ahead of time, right? So you can just, break Focus Sashes, get quick knockouts, and just speed up the tempo of the game really, really fast, really, really quick. So Metagross definitely going to be a big threat coming back in Series 9. All right, moving on to the last few team archetypes. Here we go. All right, guys, next up we got Colossal GMAX teams. Colossal GMAX teams are just something that have been around ever since this game was introduced, and for good reason. It's constantly winning Players' Cups, right? It won Players' Cup 1, Players' Cup 2. It did pretty well in Players' Cup 3, but it doesn't look like it's winning Players' Cup 3 this time around. However, just the Volcalith damage over time is really broken, in my opinion, and also Colossal has the added benefit of just being able to function well within Trick Room teams, right? Being able to be flexible with slow or fast by activating the Steam Engine, or choosing not to activate the Steam Engine and maybe go something with like a Trick Room and then Bulldoze with like a Dusclops, right? It can be very hard to stop as well when it's supported by support Dragapult, right? It can set up the Colossal Steam Engine and Weakness Policy with Surf. It can set up screens. It can Breaking Swipe to lower attack. It can also run Ally Switch just to throw a wrench in a lot of your plans. And not to mention, it just has a fantastic core of Fire, Water, Grass, right? It usually has Pokemon like Incineroar, Rillaboom, and Urshifu Water. And basically what this does, it creates a very flexible core on your team for you to deal with a lot of different team archetypes. So Definitely, you know, GMAX Colossal going to be a very big threat in the coming Series 9. All right, moving on to the next one, guys. Here we go. Series 9 is just going to be probably Venusaur Torkoal's season to shine back again. And for good reason, right? It's a very versatile team that functions well without Trick Room or with Trick Room as well. So you can expect to see Porygon 2 or even maybe Dusclops paired up with them and setting up Trick Room. And also the Sleep Powder from the Venusaur is super annoying. It can shut down a lot of Dynamax Pokemon if you're not careful. You can be put to sleep all 3 turns of your Dynamax, right? So GMAX Vine Lash does amazing damage over time. And then the Weather Ball can catch some Pokemon slipping, right? Weather Ball can change typing depending on the weather that is active. So it can be a fire move, it can be a water move, a rock move. And a lot of the times, there's really no need for Max Ooze for the Sludge Bomb to be on the Venusaur, just because of the coverage that it gets with Grass Fire, with the Sun Weather, of course, and just being extremely fast. And you can also run even, you know, Earth Power, Max Quake, just to get special defense boosts. And Torkoal being a fantastic support Pokemon with Yawn, Burning Jealousy, just to burn a lot of physical attackers, and Body Press even for damage output with its insanely high defense. So VENU-KOAL not going anywhere. Expect to see them in the meta. All right, moving on to the last few. Here we go. And moving on to the Dark Horses, and this is mainly going to be Cinderace and Bisharp teams. This is one of the teams that won the Invitationals, if I recall correctly. So Cinderace paired with any sort of Defiant or competitive user to deter, intimidate, right? And then Cinderace actually has really good typing synergy with the Bisharp, because you can actually speed up the Bisharp along with you and with the Max Airstream on the Cinderace, right? So one thing you can do is Max Airstream, and then Bisharp can actually Assurance for the knockout there. So it does double damage if it moves right after, or if it damages an opponent's Pokemon right after you did, right? So Cinderace being faster than it is perfect, and then speeding it up, allowing it to move before the opponents is actually crucial. One thing you can do is you can expect these you know, Cinderace Bisharp teams to run a White Herb on the Cinderace so that the attack drop is immediately reset if they do choose to lead with an Intimidate Pokemon. And then the Defiant boost on the Bisharp is actually just, you know, it doesn't need any explanation, right? It's just going to boost up its attack +1, and then you can just start snowballing the game really fast. It's one of those hyper-offensive cores that just can win games if you're not prepared for it. All right. And one of the other Dark Horse teams is Spectre Clefairy, right? Spectre Clefairy teams are just, you know, redirecting attacks away from Spectre and just snowballing the game out of control. We saw Bingji Wong do really well with it in Players Cup 2, I believe, getting up all the way up to top 8. And also, Clefairy supports the Porygon Z. Porygon Z teams are also one of the team archetypes that we can expect to see. So that's pretty much going to round it up. These are basically the team archetypes that you should definitely keep an eye out for. And let me know what you guys think of this type of content. If you guys are interested, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And I do appreciate it if you hit the like button. But anyways, guys, that's enough from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.